All right, Ezra. So funny enough, Ezra and I, and for those of you that don't know, first of all, this is like my 9th time up on stage today, so I apologize. Too much of me. But what's funny is Ezra and I, and for those that get up on stage, there's a lot of work that goes into this. So, I hope you folks can appreciate all of the pre-work that goes into preparing for all of this stuff. In preparing, Ezra and I got on the phone and found out that we live around 4 miles from each other, which is absolutely insane. And Ezra, your story is a really interesting one. You're now working with a company that is 71 years old. I won't use the word legendary or any of those antiquated words, but talk to us about how you do what you do with a company that's been around forever.
Sure, yeah, that's a good question. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So that's exactly right. Ross Simon's just celebrated our 70th anniversary last year. They've gone through a lot of transformations during that time. They've done a really good job of sort of adapting to the changing of the times. They started as a catalog business. I apologize. I've been talking a lot in a lot of loud rooms this week, so if it sounds like I'm losing my voice, it's because I am. They started as a catalog business, not unlike Sears or any one of the sort of original catalog businesses. They moved into traditional brick and mortar retail when the time came. They moved into D2C, into e-com when that time came. At that point, they actually moved out of the brick and mortar business, but decided to keep their catalog business. So at this point, we are sort of a unique blend of direct to consumer online, as well as still very heavily catalog driven and offline driven as well. So to your question of how do I do what I do while maintaining sort of that legacy in the back of my mind and what's made the company so successful is try to bring modern touches or new approaches to the things that the company is already doing that we think can either be optimized or improved upon, or look at and learn from the things that maybe I've never experienced before in my career, or things that maybe are new because they're old, but are still really working, and find out a way to just leverage that in a way that sort of I hadn't seen before.
So I want to dig into this because this is so fascinating to me. You've got old meets new catalogs. I mean, we're talking about print again. So it's kind of a unique structure, right? I think IKEA even got away from their catalogs. So talk to me about the power of catalogs, what that does from a consumer journey, how that really impacts or influences how a consumer engages with the brand.
Yeah, so I think it depends a lot on the customer demographic, right, the audience demo. For the Ross Simon's customer, it tends to be an older customer demo who still responds to traditional print media. So we're doing between 30 and 40 catalog drops a year, like a lot of catalog mailings. We are also running between like 2,000 and 3,000 print ads in like regional newspapers, black and whites. We're also in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. So we really lean heavily on traditional print media as a way of reaching customers, spreading brand awareness, engaging, retaining. It sort of touches all parts of the funnel for us. But the reason why it's successful, the primary reason why it's successful, we believe, is just because there's such a strong engagement, such a strong fit with the audience that we're trying to reach, and just that connection to physical media.
Yeah, and you have to share with everybody here the sheer volume of catalogs that you guys are sending out. So 30 to 40 drops a year.
Yeah.
At what kind of a subscription base or
it probably ends up being like 20 to 30 million books. It's probably like between a quarter and 500,000 books a drop.
Whoever that seller at Dunder Mifflin was,
yeah,
they won.
It's not our most sustainable advertising channel.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a lot of paper.
I get it. So this is also a pretty unique audience because, as you mentioned, it's an older demographic, and what you do is so specialized because, it's not really the gifting of the jewelry per se. This is more of an audience that you shared with me that is used to buying stuff for themselves.
Yep.
So how does that kind of play into this?
It's self-purchase for sure. It affects our messaging a lot more than I think our measurement in terms of the analytics, but when it comes to marketing and advertising, a lot of the big fine jewelry brands that I think people would think of when you think of fine jewelry, especially, you'll see TV commercials, things like that. A lot of the messaging is around gifting your wife, gifting your significant other, even like Mother's Day is coming up, gifting your mother. For us, our messaging in terms of the marketing is a lot more about treating yourself, or picking out for yourself, or indulging, and just really just keeping in mind that it's people shopping for themselves, whether because they're collectors, or because they saw a piece that's nice, or because they have some disposable income and they feel like treating themselves. But I think the approach is a little bit different.
So when you think about those people who are buying stuff for themselves, the consumer experience is also pretty unique with you folks, because you still also have call centers, right? Mm-hmm. People who are looking at that catalog and making phone calls, people who are literally mailing in orders with checks. Yep. So how do you actually tie back the efficacy of your media buys, the catalogs? How are you proving out that what you're doing is driving business outcomes? Yeah,
so that's, I think, the biggest challenge for us, and the most interesting part of my job is that even though we rely very heavily on catalog, and yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head, we get a lot of phone orders, we still get our fair share of mail-in checks with order forms. The response that we see to our offline media still shows up online. So we're still doing the lion's share, upwards of 75-80% of our revenue comes in through our D2C site.
So not 21%?
Not 21%.
Okay.
But it's still driven by that media. So the challenge for us is like, okay, we mailed the catalog, it got in home on Monday, we dropped 500,000 books, what did we pay for that catalog? And then how much of that revenue can we count on, or how much of the revenue we saw during that week or during those next few days do we think came as a result of the catalog? And the same for print media, right? So we'll run a quarter page in the main news section of the Wall Street Journal, and we'll sell a bunch of bracelets or necklaces that we think were related to that ad. But the measurement gets really, really tricky. Regardless of your attribution model, first click, last click, there's not a line in your analytics suite that says catalog,
right?
Unless they're using a vanity URL. But most of this comes in, direct to the site, or through a Google channel, through a search channel. And so what we've taken to do that we like a lot is a really sort of robust macro approach. But we look at the entirety of our website traffic and the entirety of our conversion volume as measured against the entirety of our spend in any given period of time. And this works for us, at least, and I'll go into a little bit of detail. We'll get a little technical. But it works for us on the catalog side. It works for TV. We're doing a lot of like linear TV and daytime television. It works for print ads for sure. For any other brands, like we're not in podcasting, but you could apply a similar methodology, I think, to podcasting anywhere where you feel like you're getting a lot of reach, but it's an indirect site channel, or traffic driver rather. And so what we'll do is we'll use a baseline metric that we call like a cost per session, basically, which is how much do we invest in marketing in any given week or any given month, and then how many sessions do we drive. And just in general, like on a very, very kind of painting with a broad stroke, what was our cost per session for that period of time? And then we comp it just like you do anything else. Did we do more? Did we do less? Did we spend more? Did we spend less? And then you can do the same on the revenue side, on the order side, right? Did we pay more per transaction? Did we make more money per session? So that for us is sort of like our macro metric for, hey, we were in the Wall Street Journal and we were on our catalog and we were on TV this week, and so we invested really heavily in our offline media, but here's all the extra sessions that we drove, and we can see it in sort of a reduction in our overall cost per session. So that's one of the ways that we're sort of trying to fuse what's going on offline with what's going on online, and trying to build sort of without the complexities of a media mix model or something really sort of AI-based or algorithmically driven, just sort of a quick snapshot view for us of how our marketing is doing and how effective it is.
I love the simplicity of the holistic cost effect. That's really interesting. When it comes to the catalogs, when it comes to the print, so print I get, when it comes to the catalogs, are those being sent to loyal consumers? Is there an acquisition play? Are you audience targeting? How are you deciding who is actually physically getting those and where you're messaging to them?
All of the above. It's mainly, it changes, I would say, seasonally and by book. But it works for us, like I said, sort of the full funnel, top to bottom, acquisition through retention. The thing that we've noticed through some modeling and working with partners on quality scores is we have a pretty good idea of either if somebody's going to convert via a catalog or how long it's going to take them. So we don't spend a ton of time hammering people who we think are better reached on the internet. Like we still do certainly our fair share of search and social and a lot of digital media. It's more cost effective and easier to track, obviously. But yeah, we do sort of test the waters a lot. We do some acquisition, and then if somebody shows a propensity for being a catalog buyer, being an offline buyer, then we'll continue to go back to them in that way, if that's how they prefer to be engaged.
All right, so 71 years. What have you and the team in the past year, 2, 3 brought to the table that has been innovative, that has been something where those folks that have been with the company for a really long time are like, interesting, this is the new stuff? What's really kind of turned some heads and raised some eyebrows that's really had an impact on the business?
So it's interesting. One of the things that we just started doing this year that I think is kind of neat, that's been working well for us, I mentioned a minute ago, is linear television, which when you think about our customer demo, it seems like it would be a no-brainer. But I also think that in a world where most D2C brands are moving to CTV or moving to streaming or moving to YouTube, that we are sort of opening up older, more old-fashioned channels and finding success, again, because of this kind of audience segment fit or audience channel fit. But that's something that the company, I guess, either wasn't comfortable reaching an audience or wasn't comfortable measuring the success of that media. But we've seen a lot of success there lately.
All right. So you've been there now a while. You're here at ShopTalk. You've been going back and forth between the floor and here and there. Anything that's got you super excited for the future? Anything that you're looking at and thinking, okay, this is something that I really could see working for us?
I mean, every session is mentioning AI. I'm not going to mention AI. I'm gonna mention personalization, because that to me is sort of where the data and the customer experience and the site experience kind of all come together. I think that we've taken such great steps in like being able to really understand what's a customer looking for, what's the highest likelihood product that they're going to buy, what category are they shopping for, using the data about their shopping behavior or other similar shopping behaviors. Say, hey, this person bought silver earrings, they're probably going to be looking for a matching silver necklace, so let's show them this. And just like building that experience around really tailoring each individual customer to the things that they're most likely to want to be served or engaged with. And I think that there's so much opportunity for brands across all different verticals, all different categories, to continue to be thoughtful about how they're tailoring their site experience for individual users, whether that's like how they're getting to your site, what they're searching for, what their previous behavior is, and just really continuing to kind of hone in on that experience.
So there's clearly the data, there's clearly the science, and it sounds like, because I'm a nerd, you guys have totally nerded out on that, which is great. Where's the art, and how does that factor into all of that data and science? So, taking a look at consumer trends, what is popular, what is working, is that impacting product? Is that impacting merchandising and what is being promoted and all of that good stuff?
I mean, you can try to ask me an art question. I'm still going to give you a science answer, which is we do a lot of testing around that. We are certainly always keeping our finger on the pulse of which creatives are performing the best, which messaging is performing the best, which aesthetic our customers engaging with the most. But it's done through a pretty relentless testing methodology, and just trying to really understand the directions that we want to be moving in. And I don't work on the buying team, but I would hope and assume that a lot of what we're seeing online is translating to the products that we're buying and the way that we're assembling our assortment. But it's certainly translating to the ads that we're running, the way that we're building our campaigns, the branding that we're doing online, and just sort of continuing down that path.
Gotcha. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So I want to switch gears, as I usually do. And I just want to chat about the industry. I want to chat about culture. I want to chat about you. The question that I always like to ask is, for marketers, if you were to start in this industry today, what would be your advice to someone entering into the field right now?
My advice to them would be get as wide of a range of experience as you can. I think there's a lot of really neat and exciting things to learn in e-commerce marketing, whether you love marketing analytics, or you love email and audience segmentation and SMS, or you love affiliate marketing, or you love paid media and digital advertising. There's so many different areas, and it's good to know a lot about the way that this network sort of all connects, because everything you do in one area of your marketing ecosystem sort of affects the other, and so the more you know, the more well-informed you are. I also think there's a lot of strategies and learnings to be borrowed or shared between sort of disciplines. And so if someone was getting in now, I would tell them to try to make sure that, like, if you get a job doing email, don't only do email for the next 10 or 12 years of your career. Like, try to get experience doing other things. Like, maybe you'll either find out that you like something more than you like doing email, or maybe you'll learn something from the digital media world, or you'll learn something from the affiliate marketing world that you can apply back to your discipline as an email marketer, and will just make you that much stronger. So I'm a big sort of range of disciplines, jack of all trades kind of proponent. And I think that specifically in the e-commerce marketing world and the digital marketing world, there's a lot of opportunity for that.
Yeah, I could not agree more. It is so important to be well-rounded, because it really implicates the effect that you have on the other groups and that they have on you. So when you've got a team that you work with, what are the big characteristics? What are the things that you noticed about this team that really stands out? Like, what is that culture that you embody within this team that really makes it successful?
Yeah, so I think for the Ross Simons team specifically, a loyalty to the brand. We have a lot of very, very long tenured employees, even just young team members who have just been with the team from the beginning and are now 10, 12 years in. So there's a real loyalty to the brand, the real commitment to what they represent and what they do. And so that, I think, is unique to the Ross Simons team. I think for me, just like as a manager and as a team leader at any brand, curiosity is really important to me. Just like always wondering either A, why is something happening? Sort of going back to our data analysis portion, right? So like, you see a trend, you see something moving, what's going on? How can I dig into that? How can I tease it out? But also curiosity from a strategic point of view. It's like, I wonder if there's a way that we could do this, or I wonder how we could be making better use of that, or is there a way that we could be leveraging this channel or this audience a little bit better? And just always sort of trying to think sort of out of the box and just be a little bit wildly creative about your marketing strategy, and just having that nagging, unending curiosity is a really important part of being, I think, a good marketing team member.
I was going to say I have to introduce you to my 3-year-old. Why, Dad? But why? All right, awesome. So thank you.
Yeah,
I definitely want to open it up to the crowd, because this is definitely a unique marketer who is dealing with some things that I don't think we've dealt with in quite some time. So please, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. Ask them. No one? Come on.
You get to ask more then, Todd.
All right. So, sure, I will throw one more at you. So, we talk about measurement, and I really appreciate the fact that you have basically said what the rest of the industry does just doesn't work for us. And it doesn't work for us because of the way in which we run our business. That is admirable, and yet it's also got to be a little scary. And when you're bridging the gap between the marketing function and the finance function, I think you've come to a place where you've really nailed down a consensus agreement on how you value the budget allocation. Is that accurate?
Sure.
So when it comes to setting those goals, those parameters, is it the CFO that is setting those guidelines, working on budget allocation, how much you have to play with, all of that good stuff? Is there kind of an internal struggle between marketing and finance is where I'm trying to go with this? And how do you have that conversation in a really collaborative way?
Yeah, I think all of the above. It's definitely always a conversation among the CEO, for sure, is heavily involved, the finance team, CMO, the marketing team, about the performance, right? The growth, where the growth is going to come from, how much it's going to cost us to continue to grow in that way. And then for myself and the performance marketing team, understanding, what are the budget constraints that we're working with, and where do we think we can maximize those dollars? So it certainly is, a top-down and then bottom-up and then top-down and then bottom-up kind of conversation. But what it ultimately leads to is, here's where we want to get to, here's what we think it's going to take us to get there, and then how do we best allocate those dollars, or how do we best divvy this up to give ourselves the best chance of continuing to move in that direction, continuing to hit these marks.
Yeah, so you're sending out catalogs, you're sending out emails, you talked about some of the innovation with social and all of those different channels. There's got to be some sort of a halo period associated with all of these different media, because at the end of the day, if you're looking on a weekly basis as to what that cost per session is there a factor or consideration of kind of a long form consideration of purchase, or is it just, hey, we need to know how much did we spend this week and how much did we make this week kind of thing?
So there is, but that becomes really, really hard for us. Again, I think that a lot of brands in the space are doing a lot more complex modeling, and we're working with partners on stuff like that too, that really help to build, again, regression models and yield curves and all kinds of gains charts around where's my next best dollar going to be spent. For us, the CPS kind of tracking is more of just a pulse of, do we feel good about what we're doing? Do we not feel good about it? Should we do more of it? Should we do less of it? I wouldn't buy into necessarily the theory that the majority of the transactions that are going to be made from a catalog drop today or a TV commercial today are going to come 15 days from now. Do I think there's a long tail? Do I think there's a halo effect? For sure. But I think that we would have to basically agree that in order for us to take a broader stroke or to take a longer timeline, that the bulk of those transactions are going to happen at the back end of the tail and not at the front end, which is a little bit of a tough sell. So I think for us, the tracking that we do is more just about, are we on the right track? Are we beating last year's numbers? Are we doing as well as we think we can? Have we stepped too far or too little in one direction or another? And how do we continue to build our marketing mix that way?
I like that. I respect that answer. And so, I'll follow it up with a big topic that comes up. Everybody's using the sexy word, incrementality, right? So when we talk about incrementality, it's interesting. And again, I really appreciate you just, giving the big kiss off to all of the metrics and the models, because it doesn't work with your business. When it comes to incrementality, though, the truth is we are asking as marketers, we are trying to determine human behavior. We're trying to quantify human behavior. We're not putting everybody in an MRI machine. We're not scanning their brains as they're shopping. So when it comes to that incremental sale, how do you define incrementality, if it's something that you actually consider and look at? How do you actually quantify that?
Sure. So a number of different ways, and it depends a lot on the channel and the season and what we're talking about. In a lot of our print media that we were talking about, we do traditional holdout testing. So catalogs, we do holdout testing for incrementality. We're in the middle of doing a nationwide print holdout test for our newspaper ads, so things like that. In digital, certainly a lot of the ad partners, as you well know, will have lift studies or incrementality tests of their own, first-party studies that you can commission. But again, I'll sort of go back to this idea of a CPS track, which I think is kind of neat, is that if you're only changing one sort of variable at a time, you can measure your own incrementality, which is if you are on a week-to-week basis, for all intents and purposes, your promo calendar is relatively the same, your email cadence is relatively the same, your budgets remain relatively unchanged, you're not doing this during Black Friday or for us during Valentine's Day, and all of a sudden in 1 week you decide to add 30% to your social budget, we'll know relatively quickly whether that's having a net positive or net negative effect on our overall incrementality, because we're either going to see more sessions at a cheaper cost or more revenue at a cheaper cost, or we're going to see the inverse, and then we could take it back down and do it again. So it does provide, yes, I agree, it's a little bit unconventional, but for us, it provides really sort of quick feedback and very kind of direct feedback around the changes that we're making and the incrementality that we're seeing.
Yeah, I don't think it's unconventional. I actually think it's very smart. I think you're lucky in the fact that you have a consistent spend across partners and that you have the ability to do that. Not everybody does, so it's really interesting to hear how you look at that. Okay, unless there are any other questions. Any more? Going once, going twice. All right, Ezra, thank you so much for
thank
joining
you
us.
guys.
Really, really good stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.